Hey, what's up guys, it's Moogalore here, and today I want to talk about Square Enix and Microsoft and the Xbox platform. Now that Square Enix is dead set on their brand new strategy to where they want to see most of their games, their newer games more specifically, make it onto multiple platforms and no longer be tied down to these exclusives that they have for Sony. And I think this is really essential and really important for Microsoft to pretty much seize the opportunity to try to get more Japanese or Eastern titles in general onto their platform. And also, this is a market that's an untapped market for Square Enix to actually dominate in if they put some work and some effort into it. And how you can tell they're more serious about this is the fact is that the director, Naoki Hamaguchi himself, pretty much was stating that he would love to have the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy find its way on the Xbox platform as well. So I definitely want to give you my thoughts on this and how they can improve this relationship and how Microsoft can pretty much be a home for a lot of Japanese games to make it over onto the platform as well. I think this is beneficial just not for only in gaming in general, but I think Xbox gamers need to experience a lot of these Japanese titles on the platform. So before we even dive into the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So we definitely want to dive into it. Now, from an article in Niche Gamer, the director himself had stated that he's really interested in wanting to have Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy onto the platform. And most importantly, now that we in this new generation of gaming, multi-platform has been more important than ever before, and he pretty much made that clear. And you look at these stats and you look at what gamers want and what they want from their gaming experience. They want to be able to have access to a lot of these games, and I think being stuck behind an exclusivity deal with Sony themselves does more harm than good for Square Enix as a business altogether. And that's where I believe, most importantly, that's where the problem lies. Can you imagine this? We already seen perfect examples of this when it comes to Final Fantasy 16. Here it is. We have, for the fact is that Final Fantasy 16 was a game that many other people, include myself, at the time before it was announcement, we were anticipating this. Now me, I have multiple consoles, so I have the luxury to be able to get whatever game that releases, no matter what platform it's on, I'm able to pick it up and play it. But not everybody had that luxury, and most people prefer a certain console because of the ecosystem that these consoles have, that they prefer to be part of that ecosystem. So imagine them announcing Final Fantasy 16 only to find out that it's only going to be a PlayStation or Sony exclusive, and then later on release on the PC. Now the problem is, we already seen before that Square Enix talked about how Final Fantasy 16 didn't make the numbers that they were hoping that it would make. Not saying that it's bad and not saying that it's good, but they hope that Final Fantasy 16 actually did really good. Now here's the problem. If you only release it on Sony and the PlayStation itself, and then people go out and buy it on the PlayStation and only wait a year later for it to release on the PC platform, by this point, everybody who really wanted to play Final Fantasy 16 and really enjoy the game have already played it already on the PlayStation 5, including myself, who wanted to play it, and the game is pretty mid. But besides the fact, people wanted to play the game, they played it on the PS5. Now, PC players have to wait for their PC release, which the PC release finally happened, and it didn't make the numbers that they were hoping for. And why? Why is it the case? Well, come on, why would you be surprised if you have a game that's locked under an exclusivity deal with Sony for over a year? By this time, brand new games are coming out a year later, and pretty much the hype in the campaign has pretty much settled down. The hype around it is dead. I think the best thing a developer could do is release everything on multiple platforms day and date, right around the time where hype is being generated, where the campaigns are taking place to promote the game, and that's the perfect time to have these games on multiple platforms. But once the game is officially out, the hype is down, everybody played it, the reviews are out, people giving their opinions about the game, and people who haven't played the game yet are hearing these mixed responses about the game, and now it comes on PC. People are more hesitant to actually want to go out and play the game. And then by this time, we in a brand new year with more games. So people are not going to spend their time to play a game that's a year old when you have new current games coming out this new year. So that is also a big major problem when it comes to these exclusivity deals that Square Enix have for Sony themselves. And you can only imagine what that would do if they ever become successful in releasing the remake trilogy on the Xbox platform. How many people would care at this point to play the Final Fantasy remake trilogy? By the time the trilogy completes, I'll be 40 years old. By the time the final part come out, I'll be going on 40 years old and sending my daughter to college by that time. So that's over a decade that people have been waiting for this game to officially fully release with all 3 parts and everything. And now, if they decide to put it on the Xbox platform, will people actually go out and support the game? And all that does is it pretty much add credibility to what everybody makes their arguments about Xbox gamers and the Xbox platform. And that argument always is Japanese games or RPGs don't sell well on Xbox. And I think this is also the case for that when you sit there, or it contributes to this narrative when you have games coming out decades later, old games coming out decades later onto the platform. It means an old game. Like, what can you expect an old game to do when everybody had played it? It has many different renditions already, special editions, and expansions and everything like that throughout the course of a decade. What do you expect once you release it on the Xbox? A lot of people are going to go invest their time into it after the game been out for so long, when there's a bunch of other new games that's out there. So it adds more to that narrative that Xbox gamers don't play these kind of games, and that's sad. Even after, and it's showing how serious that they are about the Xbox platform, is that the director themselves, as I said before, talked about how multi-platform is the way to go. It's the way of the future. And I think even not only just multi-platform or crossplay is definitely important. We already seen what crossplay is doing now, and then crossplay is definitely beneficial to gamers. Because now I no longer have to go out and buy a brand new console or a whole nother console just to play the particular game that I want to play with my friends. Now we're not fragmented. I can play on my PS5 and play the same game with my friends online who may own just a PC or own just a PS5 or own just a Nintendo Switch. So that's just as important. So if crossplay is important, then you know multi-platform is important, and would prove how they trying to kick off and strengthen their relationship with Microsoft and Xbox, and how they improve on this is how they want to put emphasis and how they announce the release of Final Fantasy 14. This is something that's been in the making for a very, very long time. It's just a matter of when they're going to roll the dice, when they actually going to push forward on this. And it's good to see that now Xbox gamers get a chance to actually experience Final Fantasy 14 on the Xbox platform. Now they can play alongside PlayStation players and PC players as well. And we also seeing it with the Dragon Quest remake as well. Dragon Quest 3 remake, now that we're seeing that hitting multiple platforms. So they're definitely pushing emphasis on that, and I think it would definitely help them in the long run. Now, despite this effort that they have put out there, Square Enix themselves, Microsoft has to work harder to get out of this stigma, or get out of this narrative, or this image that they have built for themselves, especially when it comes to Eastern side of the market and within the gaming industry. Microsoft is a Western console. It has that stigma to it. It's a Western platform. It's a Western console. So a lot of Eastern gamers and consumers more so stick with Eastern developed products within the gaming space. I can't talk about other type of technology in other forms of media and everything, but I'm only specifically talking about gaming itself. So Microsoft had a hard struggle and had a hard uphill battle that they had to fight, and they did try hard in the past when it came to the Xbox One and the deals that they made with Sega, Koei Tecmo Games with Team Ninja and their live series and everything like that. But I think that marketing, they would definitely have to market much harder and everything. And like I said, it has this notion, especially when it comes to Xbox. Xbox is known to be the platform for shooters. It has this image that is a shooter platform. They're known for this, especially definitely the Xbox 360 era with Halo and Call of Duty style type games, where a lot of the Eastern consumers, and more specifically the Japanese consumers, aren't just into that at all. So that's something that Microsoft definitely has to change. They have to make the Xbox platform much more attractive for Japanese developers, for them to bring these games over to their platforms. Now, things that I think for them to be able to improve themselves, I think this is where it comes into play. And I think it takes much more work from Square Enix and Microsoft themselves to come together to be able to improve upon how they can make this platform attractive for consumers, especially from the East, and also gamers here who only game on Xbox and don't put much time into a lot of Japanese release games. I try my hardest and I try my damnedest. And as you can see here, every time or any time a Japanese game is released, and if it's by chance happens to hit the Xbox, I try to support it. And most of my games on the Xbox are Japanese games. Almost all of them. I think except for Space Marines, but everything else is a Japanese release game, and I try to get them as much as possible on the Xbox platform to show them that, hey, I'm not one of these gamers who cry for Japanese games, and then when the game's release, no one goes out and buy them. So, but I still believe that Microsoft and even Square Enix themselves still have a lot more work that they have to do in order to improve upon that image. And not just Square Enix, but also Japanese developers themselves and Microsoft have to put in the hard work in order to get this going. With that being said, the first thing they need to do, Square Enix and Microsoft, the first thing they need to do is they need to prioritize simultaneous releases when it comes to their games. Like I said before, there's already titles that's made by Square Enix that's already coming out, and it's locked behind these exclusivity deals. But I'm talking about future releases and these future games that's coming out and need to have a simultaneous release. The biggest problem that a lot of people have with the Xbox platform is every time there's a brand new, Japanese game that's being released for consoles that everybody's hyped and anticipating, they're always the biggest question. Well, is it coming to Xbox? And that's the sad part about it, because it's like a coin flip. You don't know. And at the end of the trailer, what are you looking for? You look at the bottom of the trailer and you're hoping that you see an Xbox logo at the bottom to see if it's coming out. And in most cases, it never does. Hell, Nintendo get more priority over the Xbox when it comes to certain games, and the Nintendo versions is always a downgraded version of these games that comes out for the PS5. And here it is, Nintendo is able to get these games, but Microsoft can't. And the funniest part about it, even Netflix games get some game releases that Microsoft just does not get. And that says a whole lot about how people see the Xbox platform and how developers look at the Xbox platform. And that's something that needs to change. So to ensure that gamers invest in Square Enix games and just invest in Japanese games altogether, they really need to push emphasis that, hey, these games are releasing day and date for the Microsoft console, both physical and also Game Pass and digital releases as well. And I think that would definitely help them. And then another thing Xbox needs to do, especially to help Square Enix out in this collaboration, is also when they have Xbox game events, like Xbox will have their own directs or whatever big shows that they have, Xbox need to take priority to having these Square Enix titles be highlights of their presentations and their shows. That if they do have a major Square Enix release title, that it should be the first to be shown on the Xbox platform as well. It need to be highlighted, and then a lot of promotion and advertisement should be put forth on these Square Enix titles. I think they already had done a good job, or a perfect example of that is where they had highlighted Visions of Mana during their Xbox Direct of last year. And that actually really got me excited. And in fact, because of that, I ended up getting Visions of Mana, which I haven't opened yet. I'm going to play it this year on the Xbox platform. So that's what made me went out and go grab, because they showed it on the Xbox platform and they put emphasis on the Xbox platform. And it was the great marketing strategy they had for it was it's the first Mana game to appear on the Xbox platform. So that's something to get people riled up and hyped about, especially for those who never heard of the Mana series, and now they get the chance to experience it. And that worked out. So I think they need to crank it up a bit, and they need to double down on that and have a lot of these titles feature in a lot of these events. It's something that I don't really like much when it comes to digital games and everything, but if Xbox is going to put emphasis on Game Pass, I think that's something else that they need to work on. I think they especially need to work deals, especially with their older titles. Some of their older titles to have Game Pass deals and promotions to get gamers to want to test out and play a lot of their older titles. Because the thing is, when it comes to the Xbox platforms, it's a totally different beast compared to the PlayStation and compared to Nintendo. It's a totally different. It has a different market, it has a different ecosystem, it has different type of players and everything. But for people to build that relationship with Square Enix, I believe that Game Pass would benefit them the most, especially with their older titles. I'm not really a big fan of just having a lot of their major titles go straight to Game Pass, because I don't know what kind of effect that would have on the developers themselves and everything, and when it comes to the releases of newer titles. But a lot of their older titles, they should put more emphasis on Game Pass for their older titles, so people can try out these older titles that was made by Square Enix themselves, because that's all it's about. It's about brand recognition. It's about building that brand recognition on the Xbox platform. Let people build a relationship with Square Enix themselves, even with their older titles on Game Pass. I think once you start cultivating that brand recognition and that fan base, and people getting to understand and know who Square Enix is, when it comes to their newer titles begin to benefit more from it. Another thing that really gets me the most, and that really upsets me, is the fact is that Microsoft really need to stay away from digital only release versions of Japanese games. And what do I mean by that? Now, this is not something that's just, towards Square Enix, but for Japanese games in general. Now, there's quite a few games that's out there that had pretty much released where there was no physical version of the game. Now, I'll give you a perfect example of what these games are. For example, this game right here, Edge of Eternity. Now, the thing about Edge of Eternity was that this game looks like it would be on an Xbox platform, and I wanted to get it and support it on Xbox. Now, the good thing was it was released on the Xbox platform. So I went to GameStop to go pick this game up. Now, this game came out a couple years ago. So I go to the GameStop and ask for Edge of Eternity for Xbox. And come to find out that, yes, there is an Xbox version, but the Xbox version of this game, is only for digital and Game Pass for the Xbox. But the physical version was exclusively only for the PS5. So a person like me, a gamer like me, who enjoys physical media, when I buy my games. I'm an old school gamer. That's what I love. I love physical media. I get digital every once in a while. Or if I'm playing on Steam, of course, it's different if I'm playing on Steam. But I love physical media. I always love physical media. I'll take physical media any day over digital. And the problem was, this game, I really wanted it on Xbox. But guess what? I didn't buy it on Xbox. I didn't buy it on Xbox because there was no way for me to get it physical. And I can only get it digital on Xbox. So guess what version I got? I got the PS5 version when I didn't want the PS5 version. But this is the only version that had physical. Now, I think Fantasian Neo Dimension, I think the PlayStation version is only digital, is digital as well, but the Xbox version is physical as well, but the Xbox version is only digital, I believe. So that's another thing. So Square Enix, or Japanese developers in general, if you want a gamer like me or consumer like me to buy your games on the Xbox, then you got to stop releasing these games digital only onto the platform. Because if you're going to release digital only, I'm not going to even waste my time. I'll just grab the PlayStation version of those games. And that's something that needs to stop. Release a physical and release a digital. Stop Xbox, stop Microsoft. I understand that you want to push emphasis on your Game Pass and everything, but you're pretty much knocking out a completely an entire market of gamers. Someone like me who love physical media, you're completely knocking it out. I won't even waste my time buying the game if it's digital. Won't even waste my time. So, if you want to get a gamer like me to play your game on the Xbox platform, stop having Microsoft release it digital only, because you're not going to have my money. I'd rather spend my money elsewhere that has a physical version of those games. So that's something that they definitely need to work on. They need to work on that. And then, right now, what we're experiencing right now is a JRPG resurgence on the Xbox platform. We've seen games like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. We've seen Unicorn Overlord, Eiyuden Chronicles. We saw Persona series, and also Metaphor ReFantazio on the Xbox platform as well. And these are magnificent, magnificent JRPGs on the platform. So yes, there is a need and there is a want for these type of games. And Square Enix can be at the forefront of all this if they pretty much go out there and capitalize on the resurgence that's happening on the Xbox. Because I was quite surprised to see Metaphor ReFantazio when it was first announced to be coming to the Xbox. I don't think a lot of people was expecting that to come to the Xbox. And the fact is that Eiyuden Chronicles is on the Xbox and everything. wowed a lot of people as well. So yes, I think in order to get that momentum, we need to see more emphasis pushed on this. And if Square Enix want to capitalize on it, I think it's the perfect time to do that. Now that we're starting to see some of these heavy hitter JRPGs come into the platform. So last but not least, I think the most important thing that they must do, or I think two things that they must do, is when it comes to Xbox Live, when it comes to Xbox events, Square Enix need to partner with Microsoft, and they need to be at the forefront of these Xbox events. They need to be there. When it comes to betas, they should have some, if they have a live service game or whatever games they're coming up with, and they have demos that's coming out, I think they should put emphasis on having it released first on the Xbox days before the other platforms get them and stuff like that. To make people rush over to the Xbox to give these games a try. I think they really need to put emphasis on that. But more importantly, what they need to do too is collaborate with a lot of Xbox content creators and influencers as well that people go to get their Xbox news. I think Square Enix need to really extend their hand out to these influencers as well to get more people familiar with the Square Enix brand. And I think that would really help. I'm not sure. Is Phone Stars on Xbox? If not, despite how people feel about Foam Stars, I think there's another way they can probably capture that market. Because right now, Xbox itself, the brand itself, is a gold mine for Japanese developers. It's something that they should not ignore. It's untapped for Japanese developers. And I think that somebody, especially like Square Enix, need to tap into that. But it's going to require some money. It's going to require a lot of effort and work on both Square Enix and Microsoft end when it comes to marketing, brand recognition, and everything for the Xbox platform and Square Enix itself that people can relate to and people can resonate with and have a relationship with the company itself. So that's something they need to work on. It's it's open territory. Call it One Piece. Every pirate is trying to reach One Piece, and I think this is a perfect place. I think Xbox is One Piece, where developers, Japanese developers more specifically, should come in to actually develop games for. And what we experienced with Shift Up, same thing with Stellar Blade. I think Stellar Blade should have been released on Xbox as well, instead of formulating a partnership with Sony and having it as a Sony exclusive. I think Shift Up could have benefited even more. I'm not even sure. Is Zenless Zone Zero on Xbox? If that's not on Xbox, that should be on Xbox. I'm not sure if Genshin Impact is on Xbox or not. These are games that should be on the Xbox platform. They should be there. But Microsoft had to reach out and Microsoft had to do their part, and then the developers on that part has to work hard too in order to get it to work, because I believe that Xbox can do it. I think they can get some Japanese or just Eastern titles to flourish on the Xbox platform. They just gotta pull. It's gonna require a lot of work and a lot of convincing, but I think it can work. So that pretty much just wraps up this video. I'm really passionate about this. I love the Xbox. I love all my consoles, but I think Xbox is just sad that we have a Western console, and we finally had a Western console in a long time. I mean, Atari fucking sucked over time. You know, we didn't, the ColecoVision, the Odyssey. We had all these consoles, Western consoles, that just went out. It just went out to the four winds. I mean, we never heard anything ever again. And then what got me happy was it's just the pride of being an American. And when the Xbox was first announced, man, it's just like, man, we finally have a console again. Console that we could be proud of, that we can actually set some trends here, you know? And they did with Halo and many other titles that people would go down in gaming history that Microsoft had put out on the Xbox platform. But as generations went by, man, they just went to shit. And it's just so sad to see Xbox go this route. And I would love to see a Western console, you know, have some type of dominance or be a force to reckon with, and that could be able to compete with both Nintendo and Sony. Because, like I said, good competition is good for everybody as gamers in general. It's good for everybody. If Microsoft start kicking ass, it just makes Sony step up their game even more, and allow Nintendo to. It makes Nintendo step their game up even more, and everybody wins. And that's what I want here. I don't want Microsoft lagging. I think there's people out there that celebrate seeing Microsoft you know, fallen the way it's fallen and everything. But I also want to see them succeed, especially as the Xbox platform I've grown up with and played and enjoyed the most. I would love to see it succeed. But that pretty much wraps it up. Do you think the ideas that I've given you of how they can improve with Square Enix and Japanese games in general, and how they can improve going forward on the Xbox platform, and do you have any ideas of how they can improve the Xbox platform and their relationships with Japanese or just Asian developers in general? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is Mugen Lord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.